Hey, good evening. Welcome, everyone, to the meeting of the Wakefield Municipal Gas and Light Department Board of Commissioners. I call to order the meeting at 6:30 PM. This meeting is being recorded. Have any members of the public or I do not have any remarks. I was going to suggest that we move up the state grant summary and discussion if there were any members of the public that were attending, but since there are none, we can keep the agenda as is. So, are there any commissioners' reports?
I have one, it's kind of an inquiry really, which is that there was a post on the community page, one of the Wakefield community pages today asking if people in the community thought that the residential deposits were too high. So there's two points. One is I think that we should just kind of look at when was the last time they were set and whether or not the amounts are still appropriate. And the second is that I looked on the website and I couldn't find any information about the residential deposit on the residential application link. And so I was wondering if we could talk about where that information is available to the public.
Could you, for my own knowledge, give a little bit of context on residential deposits?
Yeah, so the light department collects a deposit from all renting customers. And it's $250 deposit if you're a non-heating customer and a $400 deposit if you are a customer. And I don't know offhand when the last time those numbers were reviewed.
Share the page.
Mark, it's been that way since you were here, right?
Yeah, I'd say at least 15 years.
Yeah, but wait.
So,
Yeah.
Dave. There's somebody in. Mike McClellan.
Oh.
I guess that's our liaison.
well, we can finish this discussion.
okay. And it's not, the amounts are not outside of the norms of, they're actually on the low side of other munis. So, it is for the, for the protection of the department and other ratepayers as well. That's, the impetus behind it. So.
And it hasn't been raised in over 10 years.
Correct. That is correct.
And so in the gas world, the $400 deposit for a gas heat customer is actually really low.
Yeah.
So, but we haven't adjusted. It hasn't been raised in a decade. So.
All right, so who's got control of the screen right now?
It's from my.
That's you? Okay, can you back up so we can find out how to get to this?
So for if you come to the home screen, you just go to Wakefield or gas light and you go to customer service. And under customer service, new residential customers now. The rental stuff is down here. And then
Okay, but if somebody doesn't scroll down, if they just go to the service, if you can scroll up again. If they just go to the application, which was on the left somewhere. Yeah, there it is, service and credit with.
The bottom, it's at the bottom of,
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I can't read anything. I don't have my glasses today. And so I didn't see this today, the part that you're showing now, but I went straight to the service application forms, thinking there would be something on the application talking about it. But there was nothing there either.
they're new residents, so
Yeah, and then I looked there too, new residential.
new or existing service.
Yeah, so there I thought there should be some information about it, and there was nothing. So even when you, so there's two things on here, so even when you, if you were to go down here.
Yeah, so name.
Where's the, okay, so let's say you're saying, but no, this has just changed from when I looked at it today.
Well, I did send over a note to Pete and Jeff, so then this is the work,
They
this is
fixed
the
it,
work
yeah.
that he did. Yeah, I would say, you know, maybe you also put
This is all changed, yeah.
a note on here for renter. Is there a checkbox for if the person is renter or not?
It was this morning, yes, and so that was when I clicked rental instead of owner, that's when I thought something would pop up and say, okay, if you're a tenant,
Yeah,
then, you know, you have to pay a deposit. And then there was something else where it said, if you're commercial, and then there were two choices. But if you're resident, then you had to pick one. So even if you're residential, you still had to pick one for the commercial. So that didn't make sense. And now that's gone too. So
So has it been fixed?
I don't know. I'll have to look at it again later on when I have time to look it over and see if it
we'll look at it too.
makes, but okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure something's out there so
Yeah.
people understand.
But in terms of the history of that deposit, it's relatively conservative and it hasn't been changed in over 10 years.
Yeah,
So this is a different form. So there's a rental or commercial account application. So that was for a new service. This is for the account. That I have here. So it does,
We'll clean it up so it flows better.
yeah.
Yeah, I was confused. What's the difference between the account and the service?
Well, yeah, I guess services if there's nothing there, like new building,
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
That
This is-
may not be obvious to
Yeah.
everyone.
No, it's definitely not. Yeah.
Construction or something.
Right, new construction, right, versus like rental owner or whatever.
But I do think on this app here, just you know, if someone just comes. Doesn't read all the other stuff fine print where it says, are you purchasing right in your home, you should
Yeah.
say like rental. Or at least point to that page that says that there is a deposit required for rentals.
Mhm.
To make it clear.
So if you fill this out, how are those fees assessed? Do they just come straight off their first,
Yeah.
like, do they just package with their first bill essentially?
Mark, do we include it in the first bill or are they required to come in and make the deposit before we connect?
Well, they can make it online. So yeah, before service gets put in a customer's name, you know, we require.
They can come in or, yeah.
Yeah, so they can pay, most of them just, you know, pay credit card on, you know, just 100%, you know, they don't need to come in, so.
So if you fill this out, it will take you to a payment option?
I'm not 100% sure, but there is. Are you gonna enter your credit card, Tom?
No, please don't.
No, it's
I
not.
think you're gonna need more information than you probably want to fill out during this meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It just said,
it's good to look through this.
Yeah.
I agree.
yeah, it said something on the link that got posted, it said something about you have to come into the office or pay online.
Yeah.
okay.
But so I don't think the option is,
Yeah, that link doesn't work. That link is gone, like that. page-
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that I don't think that there's an automatic link. You have to proactively go find the link.
Oh, it doesn't.
Or call
What
it.
usually happens is if the customer completes this, then a customer service person will contact the customer and go over everything with the customer, and they can take the payment at that time over the phone with a credit card. So usually customer service representatives follow up with a customer. Gets in touch
Now
with the
that, now that you mentioned that, Sylvia, so one of the things when we were talking about, so we were setting this form up, we actually wanted to have the customer service folks actually touch each one of these applications for the
Mhm.
purpose of like, you know, they'll fill out 8 out of 10 fields. There's always something they miss or some question they have, and we didn't want to have a form that said you have to fill everything out completely or you can't hit the submit button. We wanted to be able to take partial submissions so that we would be able to, you know, communicate with the customer, because, you know, it can be confused, you know, like I said, there's a dozen fields there or something, and there can be some confusion, so.
Are the fees only for renters or even for?
Deposits are only for renters.
Correct.
If you don't have the ability to lien a rental property, we can lien it.
Yeah.
Well,
Mark,
there's something that said $100 maybe for a new is that the new construction?
it was for, I saw that it was for, a temporary construction meter.
Oh,
Or
okay.
10, yeah.
Got it.
Well, yeah, so I don't know, anyways, yeah, I mean, if the deposit amount hasn't been reviewed in years, I don't know if that means that we should look at it But that probably only means it's gonna go up instead of go down, so maybe we don't wanna look at it.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, if you're a tenant and you're paying, you know, a couple $1,000 in deposit for your apartment, and then all of a sudden you go to apply, cause you didn't know that Wakefield has a municipal, and then you gotta pay a deposit. I don't know if the DPU allows the IOUs to charge a deposit, but I think.
I think the answer to that is no. And the ones that we're really concerned about, Jack, isn't necessarily the, you know, the $400 or $250 or $400 apartment renters. It's the business, there's more risk on the business side. And, you know, just, that one is, it's 3 months usage that we collect and we hold. So that can be bigger, you know, depending on the type of business. So.
For the residential, there's still, I mean, we have people that bail on there, and so
Right.
at least we have a little
Sure.
cushion when.
But-
bail.
But there's less exposure on the residential side. There's by far more residential meters, more residential deposits of a smaller amount than on the commercial side. But as far as money-wise exposure, it's on the commercial side.
And so if it's 3 months bill for the commercial, at what point do you charge the deposit? Because you don't know what the 3 months are until after at least 3 months.
No, we do. So I mean, with a you know, so with a new service, if it's a completely new commercial building, we'll do a comparison, you know, a like for a like, you know, same neighborhood, same type of, you know what I mean? If you're, you know, operating a a restaurant or
place.
something, yeah, then we you know, we have comps that we
In
can
other
go
words,
by.
you estimate it.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah,
it.
And then do
so
you
we
review
estimate
it? And then do you review it after several months in case that the estimate was a little high or a little low?
In the case of a little high or a little low, we do nothing. But if it's, you know, totally outrageous and we're unjustifiably holding a customer's a large amount of customers' money, then we're going to give it back to them. So yeah.
And is that an auto-generated report that says, hey, you. the
We review
average-
we review the deposits, the commercial deposits, at least annually. But more often if a customer, prompts us, then we'll look at it, because normally what happens in that case is a customer will put us on notice, at the beginning and say, they'll say, well, there's no way
We
I
think
need
it's
a,
too high, yeah.
yeah, there's no way I need a $2,000 deposit or something like that. I'm only using it for, storage space, and it's only going to be lights. And then we'll keep an eye on it, that type of thing. So they're pretty much handled on an individual
And if it's
basis.
moving into existing location, a lot of times we'll obviously look at what the past usage was from the prior tenant too.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
So was the concern on the community page that,
The link wasn't.
Link wasn't working. and
No,
why was
no,
it
that's
high?
not right. No, the concern that the person posted was that she didn't know that there was going to be a deposit, and she thought that the deposit amount sounded very high.
Okay,
That was her concern.
okay.
And then a bunch of people said, oh, no, that's about right. That's what it should be. And other people said, oh, Wakefield gas and lights rates are really high, all this stuff. Yeah, it was weird. There were a whole bunch of weird comments back and forth. So no, Wakefield lights are actually really low. And other people said, no, they're not. They're really high.
Okay.
So I don't know.
That's why you stay away from the cesspool of Facebook.
Okay,
I do think a review of fees is always, even if unfortunately it might go up a little bit, is a good idea.
There are none that will go down.
Yeah, I agree, because what I see normally is actually that people don't update and then they undercharge, and there are problems with that, right? So,
So we haven't had any issues of late. When we did raise them, which was, I think it was over 10 years ago, to the 250 and the 400. We haven't had any, I mean, we do a decent job with collections now as well. So we haven't been driven to do it. We can look at all of them, but I would be willing to bet you we're gonna recommend that they go up in a few of those, so.
Yeah.
If we look at-
it might be at least good to know what is current practice and how far off we are from current practice, just for discussion purposes. And we can decide what to do about it. Maybe we think we're
Yeah.
still fine and we don't have a concern.
Yeah,
how
all
would
right,
you
so-
do that assessment? Would you do
Well,
a
look at the
poll?
costs associated
Oh,
with that
costs.
function, like,
Okay.
you know, so we're going to set a meter, we're going to, I mean, some of the fees we charge for, like I said, so the risk side on the deposits, but also the service fees for going to set a meter, going, you know, all those different things that if you're shut off for non-payment, there's a reconnect, like, what are all those things cost, you know,
Okay.
so we're definitely not charging our full
Enough,
cost. The
yeah.
deposit for a gas service, you know, we're not, it's $1,000, but we're not, I mean, the cost for a gas service connection is $1,000. That doesn't cover it, but
Yeah, and it's almost it's almost a setup for an argument on the, you know, in the case where, you know, like Pete, what you said, you know, if we have to roll a truck, you know, for a shut off or a turn on, for non-payment type thing, it's, you know, the last thing we want to do, and, you know, Pete's kind of explained this before, is the last thing we want to do, you know, is shut a customer off, for non-payment. And we only do that when customers, you know, really become uncommunicative, and, you know, it's really the last of the last resort. And then on top of that, you know, I mean, if we do an analysis, we say, okay, it's going to cost $200 to roll a truck to go out and turn the person, you know, back on if they actually paid their bill. It's kind of adding insult to injury. So you're, you know, I mean,
that's why we charge 75, yeah.
yeah, but again, we're on, you know what I mean? If you do an analysis of the bill, you know, like, of the fee, like I said, it's, you know, we're underwater on it. So, you know, there's a qualitative, you know, component to it, as well as a quantitative component to the discussion, I guess.
The other place we charge is service calls in the off hours.
Yeah.
If it's due to customer equipment, we reserve the right to charge them for it. And a lot of times that'll happen on the gas side, especially in the winter where we get called out because the appliance isn't working. It's got nothing to do with the gas service. It's got everything to do with it needed to be cleaned or it needed to be, and so we get called out and it's costing us over $200 to roll the truck, and we still charge, but we only charge them $75 on hour and 150 off hours. So that doesn't nearly cover our costs, but it's still somewhat meant to be a, you know, disincentive to repeatedly do it, you know.
Okay.
Because a lot of times customers don't want to drive. If Brett shows up and says this, you know, the pile's gonna keep going out, you need to have this addressed by an appliance repair person or somebody, then, and they don't do it, they just keep calling us back, then that becomes extremely costly for all these call-ins on off hours. So it's, you know, it's a disincentive.
Yeah. So it's a very nuanced discussion if you look at the whole fee menu, you know what I mean? I guess that's the best way to put it.
We can provide a summary of what the charges are, but
Yeah.
we could share with you what the real costs most likely are in most cases, so.
That would be interesting to know. I mean,
I think it's worth it, especially because there's discussion in the community about it.
Mhm.
You should know the facts.
Right, yeah, we
Yeah,
shouldn't
speak to it.
see it and then ignore it.
Right.
okay.
Yeah, so if you just let us know, that would be great, when it was changed and, you know, kind of like maybe an average monthly bill, if you just take the 12 months and divide it by 12, just say like an average month for a heating customer and an average month for a non-heating customer then versus now. And just have a sense, you know, like how many months worth did it cover back, you know, when it was 350 versus how many months worth are covered now that is 400 in today's rates. Just give us a
Yep.
kind of starting point or comparison.
Okay.
And then, you know, one of the things we always talk about is the benefit of public power is that we have an office that somebody can call or walk in. And, you know, if the customer is upset about their potential commercial deposit, there's a conversation with either Tara or Mark. Back in the day with Sylvia, and there was some conversation about it. It's not etched in stone. It's like, you know, this is what we need to charge. Well, we'll look at it in 6 months or whatever, you know. And so another thing that we didn't mention is in new construction, if it's brand new construction, they're providing us, you know, an estimate of what they're gonna use. You know, the engineer provides us what they think. So it's hard to argue, your engineer gave us that, what you think you're gonna use, so therefore it's hard to argue that you're now not gonna use that. Your engineer said you were gonna use it. That's what we based our sizing of our service on, so.
I'll make one, there was also a kind of tied to that was, around, annualized billing or spread, you know,
Budget billing.
the budget billing, that we don't offer that, which
Yeah, we are.
that is, you know, I said that was incorrect, but I don't know why there seemed to be a perception that we don't offer that over the investor-owned territories do. So I pointed that out to the person that called the office and, you know, work out their situation.
That's another situation where it's not computer it's computer automated to an extent, but it's also reviewed by a person in here. And if you're on budget and you're either ahead or behind, there's manual intervention by our personnel to either, you know, in this communication, we're really behind this year. You need, because you're using more than you did last year, so we're gonna have to adjust your budget up, or you're running a little bit ahead, we can adjust your budget down, and that goes on a regular basis.
Okay. Well, good to know.
Mhm.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Sure.
So go ahead.
Different.
Why don't you go ahead?
Just on, and I sent the email to Pete's and yourself, Sharon, around the Department of Energy is offering the Mass Fleet Advisor, which was something out of the CEC Mass Save for Muni territories for medium and heavy duty fleet. So for technical assistance for users that would be looking for kind of electrifying their fleet. So it's a service that's being offered there. You know, I don't know if we want to kind of publicize that on our webpage or just as know that that assistance is out there as we get inquiries from
Yep.
those types of customers.
Actually came up in two places today too. We were on a call with Beacon Climate, and then they actually mentioned that, and I think, is it Power Options that's providing, I think Power Options is providing that service through Mass CEC. And then I think we actually have a request that went in via MWEC, and Kate literally this afternoon just forwarded it to me, so.
So it's for private, public and nonprofit.
Yep,
Fleets.
and fleets located in municipal territories, which was something that they were not, CEC was not offering that service to municipal territories previously. So I think that's some of the stuff that's MWEC and the state has been working on and, incorporating our territories into those types of services.
But just for clarification, that is not municipal fleets and municipal territories. It's still private.
It could be a municipal fleet.
Could be, okay.
It could be any medium to large fleet that they're looking to electrify, whether it's
So if
private or.
If the DPW wanted
Yeah.
them to look at it, they would look at that also.
I wonder if our DPW is aware of this and
Why not?
can
'Cause
pass it along.
It's just
to
come
them.
up, but yeah.
We should share it then with them.
When is the deadline?
It's not, it's just
ongoing.
it's just an ongoing, like if
Okay.
someone wants to take advantage of it, it's a free technical assistance to look at their, from the email, to look at their fleet and help advise them on how they could potentially electrify and what that looks like for them.
Yeah, that would be great for the DPW to take advantage of, actually. Some ideas.
And then the only other thing was just kind of, I don't know if it was just my area of town, but just seems like had a uptick of outages in the past 6 weeks or so. If there's just coincidence around that. I know my street was a bird on Saturday morning.
There's been birds, there's been heat-related squirrels, so.
And then we've had one cable,
One underground.
we had a station-to-station cable fail. So if you look at our capital plan, we have 4 feeders that run from Farm Street to Wakefield Ave. two of them have been replaced in the past 15 years since I've been here, but two of them haven't. And we've actually included the replacement of both of those feeders in our capital plan. One was next year, and I think one was the year after that. But we had a failure on one of those two. 3 weeks ago, maybe.
The 26th.
Yeah, the 26th. So you most likely saw that also.
Yeah, there was a large area outage that was restored quickly though.
Yeah.
Through switching, and then we're continuing with the repairs. We'll complete next week, the repairs on that. And then, we've had, so there's been some heat related outages, minor though, there's only been a couple. Mostly there was two bird incidents. And there's been half a dozen, maybe a little less, squirrel incidents. So there has been,
I think he probably saw the bird, plus he saw the cable failure.
the cable failure too.
Yeah, I think I had a total of 3, and like what you had said, the lightning strike.
Yeah.
The lightning, yeah.
Oh,
So,
Well, it's been a few busy.
yeah, well, it was just what the bird, I know it was the transformer next to my.
So
That was actually JP that came out, who was my cornhole partner.
And on the cable failure, once it's back in service, we're gonna let it ride for the rest of the summer. Hopefully, we don't have any issues. But I think we're gonna accelerate the replacement and move. So when I usually do my September kind of mid-year update, I talk about stuff that we've brought forward or moved further out, and that's gonna be one that we're probably in the fall, we're gonna keep moving on that feeder. So that'll come, that's stuff that we were gonna spend next year that we're gonna probably bring into a portion of that into this year and start replacing that feeder. Both those feeders are 22 sections, so it's a decent amount of cable and a lot of work. But again, this one, once it's seen a good fault, it's old, lead cable, so it's due to be replaced. It was on our schedule. Unfortunately, it just didn't hold on for one more season.
Is the whole thing overhead?
No, this is all on the ground.
All on the ground, the whole feeder?
The feeder, the station to station feeder, we in Boston Edison, we used to call it a DSS line, dedicated station service line.
Oh, yeah.
So that goes directly from BB to Wakefield Ave, and it provides the supply to that station.
So what's it go, run down the conduit down Farm and then down
It
Water?
goes down Farm, it goes around Old Nahant, then it comes around onto Farm again, then it goes up Old Nahant, then it goes over Melvin, down to the other side, then it comes up Water.
Oh, wow, okay.
so how long were your outages?
They were,
Were they momentary or?
momentary to 30 minutes,
Okay.
not unreasonable, but
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that we've had outages.
it's abnormal.
I mean, it is, but it's also some of the weather conditions we're having are a little unusual as well. I mean, there's anything heat related, but we've had a minimum. We're used to a very high level of no outages or extremely few, right? Infrequent. And now.
June was actually, July hasn't been too bad. June was pretty busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I think makes it,
Yeah.
the anomalous is that
And it showed up in our safety number too. Our number went up pretty significantly in June.
Yeah, it's normally 0, so when I've had, a couple of outages in a 6-week period, that's abnormal.
Yeah.
Right.
Or my experience since moving here.
Right.
I think previously, most of my outages, like one outage was when they did line construction.
Yeah.
And I think the only other,
Planned outage?
yeah, the planned outage, and the only other outage I can think of is when they had the car accident on the Hot Street,
Right.
which is completely outside of,
I mean, it's not a trend.
yeah.
No.
We're not trending to have more frequent outages. I mean, every outage we evaluate and we see what the cause is and then we take a corrective action or proactive, but there's not a trend here on what's been happening in 6 weeks. So. I'd like to guarantee you would get better.
I have
No
no,
guarantees right now.
I have no concern. It was just, like I said, it's
It is.
abnormal.
It is difficult. Yeah. There's high expectations.
Very.
Yeah. And we do take it serious. I mean, all the outages, everyone responds quickly. We take it very serious to restore and take corrective action to fix or be more proactive and when we can to make sure we keep that as a very low number. So it's a
Certainly,
serious
that's
thought.
that.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I have.
Any other commissioners' reports? If not, I would like to, I have a request. I'd like to change up the order of the discussion on the state grant summary and move it up to the first order of business under old business. Because we do have a guest,
That's our liaison from town council.
Is.
Yeah.
Is he-
Yeah, Mike,
Oh,
I
is he?
assume,
Mike?
since Mike is.
Well, he was definitely coming to talk about this.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I was
I'm not sure if he's
letting him
Uh,
do the town
So I
council
think-
committee report and then he can
There? Oh, I see.
explain whether or not it's
Okay.
the new.
But he might not be the lead, do we know if he's the lead?
Yeah, we don't know that yet. So let's
But
ask
he
him.
was definitely coming to talk about the state grant. thing.
Okay.
Hi. Hi, Mike. Can you hear us?
He's on mute.
You're on mute.
Can we unmute him?
No, I don't think so, because it's Mike. Oh, you can ask. Yeah.
Well, if you ask him, maybe he can just click a button.
Oh, there. Can you hear us? Oh, we
No.
can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Mike.
This, your mic may not be working.
His headphones.
Yeah.
Earbuds or whatever.
But Sharon, I'll make the motion to move it up.
Okay,
To take it out of order.
Yeah.
okay, so,
Yeah, but.
Yeah, we'll wait for
can-
Mike.
No, but can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
That we first finish the opening remarks, let him make his comments, which is to explain what's happening with the liaison and then we can. Well, then I don't know if we
We can
should,
decide if it needs to be taken out of order.
yeah,
Okay.
then we'll take a motion and then we'll go back to public comments and then the minutes and everything else like that.
okay,
So so the proposal is to put this,
He's got his hand raised, Dave, so he might have put a comment.
No,
That's, no, that's,
That's the mouse,
big.
yeah.
that was me.
or should we move ahead to the minutes while we're waiting for
Yeah.
him to straighten out his
Sure.
connection?
why not? Were there any edits on the June 17th minutes?
I forgot to include a copy. in the
Yeah, I was
book.
gonna say.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't make it in.
not on the online book either.
I didn't have any edits, so I don't know how many people had edits and let's find out if the edits.
Yeah, I included Jen's. I can get a printed out copy, or we can just move it. We should probably just table it. We can put it up next month. Since we didn't have a chance to review the final version of it, because I didn't get it in there.
Okay.
So do we need to have a motion on that or?
No, we'll
No.
just table it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can just.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, Mike, can you hear us? No,
Okay, he can hear us apparently, but we still can't hear you,
Is
Mike.
it the conference room or do we know that? Oh, no, we could hear yeah, we could hear Sylvia. In more conference.
We heard Mark.
Joe,
We had Mark.
Mike, if you can hear us, if you look at the chat, someone sent you a number to dial in, so you can dial in with a cell phone or phone. And you could go with video and phone if you want.
So down in the chat, there's a phone number.
Yeah,
thank you.
I think Joe Collins sent you the number.
All right.
See if you might need the meeting number.
I think he sent the phone number that was attached to this meeting.
It was, it's a part of the chat. He sent it to him.
Okay, but it doesn't need like a meeting number.
Or does he need the meeting code there, Joe?
I don't.
I'm not sure, but I can post that too.
Did it ask for a meeting number, Mike? You can just nod.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said Joe is sending it to you.
Let me throw that in there. That's the passcode.
Yeah, that's the
If
passcode.
you need the ID, I'll
Yeah,
post
he's
it.
gonna need the ID too.
He's gonna send the meeting ID. The first, that second number, the 8 number is a meeting ID.
And then the 679 is the passcode if it asks for that.
If I may, Madam Chairperson,
Yes.
while we're waiting, I'll make a motion and see how that vote goes to take out of order the state grant summary and discussions, which was section 4 under part D, and move that ahead to the discussion right now with
Dave?
town councilor.
That's fine.
Okay, Mike,
Except it's that the phone is down. The phone
Might
is,
have to mute him.
your phone is on mute, it looks like.
You can ask to put it on mute.
Can you request?
Yeah. I don't know how that works. If we click that, so.
your phone is on mute right now, Mike, so there's probably a button to take you off of mute. There we go. Hey, Mike.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Sorry about that. I don't know what was going on with the microphone.
That's okay. Here.
Yeah, I was actually thinking I was just here to listen in, but, you know, I'm not the liaison, but I had brought up with Jen Kelly the issue that, you know, the 1.5 million was mentioned at one of the town council meetings. So I kind of wanted to, you know, flesh that out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm not real sure where it started, but it came up. You know, we're a good couple of years into this whole 40A business, and I'm kind of the outreach person on the on the subcommittee and the subcommittee of the town council for this iteration or this time around for fall meeting is myself, Councilor Vincent, and Vice Chair Councilor Dombrowski. So we had our first kickoff meeting for the 40A, but then at my meeting just over 2 weeks ago, the 1.5 million was brought up. We'd been operating with a number of about 3.7 million over 3 to 5 years that the town would probably have lost if we were in non-compliance with 40A. But the gas and light, you know, I did ultimately receive a chart showing about 1.5 million.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. We just have to take a quick, entertain a motion to have this discussion be moved up on the agenda.
Okay.
And then we can jump right into that. So.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, so I'll repeat my motion, that we take out of order the state grant summary and discussion item, which was number 4 under part D, and move it up ahead to the
First order.
discussion prior to the approval of the minutes.
Second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so, Mike, it would be helpful if you could just back up and give a little bit of context on this new subcommittee that was formed at town council that you'll be chairing on the MBTA to come up with a compliance plan, work with the town on a compliance plan for the MBTA overlay.
Correct. I think most folks are aware that the 3 proposals were turned down at Springtown meeting. So for this time around, we and the town council decided to run the program a little bit differently. Instead of having a working group, we decided to, and the town council voted to, have 3-member subcommittee appointed by myself. I appointed myself, Vice Chair Dombrowski, and Bob Vincent, Councilor Bob Vincent. So we've just started kickoff meetings. We had our first one last week. We have another one tomorrow, and we're basically starting the process over, intending to come to the fall town meeting ultimately, through the same procedure where you go through the planning board and they have their public meetings and provide a different map and a different bylaw for purposes of vote at the fall town meeting. And the working group had always indicated the last time around that we always had fall town meeting if, the spring town meeting vote failed. So that being said, I'm trying to be transparent with the public in terms of what the numbers are in terms of, potential lost grant money. We had in the past iteration, town employees had provided more on the town side, not the gas and light side, that there were approximately $3.7 million over 3 to 5 years that we had received in grants that could be lost if we're not in compliance, by the end of the year. So recently, it was also mentioned at one of my meetings that gas and light, and this did not come up in the last iteration at all. It didn't come up at the prior working group, and it did not come up at town meeting in the spring. But this number of 1.5 million was brought up as a potential that gas and light could lose if we are not in compliance. That's why I wanted to, my perspective is if it's 3.7 plus 1.5, that is what I would want to convey to the public. But I'm not sure about the 1.5 because, and I think Pete also sent some further grant, items in an email to Sherry Dalton today that I just looked at. And I've had town council look at it, and we're trying to figure out whether these are really, there are specified grant programs like Housing Choice that the town would lose. There may be some wiggle room in that if the Attorney General thinks the list is not exclusive, maybe other grants could be at risk. I was just curious as to whether, your commissioners or whether you folks thought that some of these grants were at risk or not, because I just want to find out, what I should be conveying to the public in our public participation at the meetings we're now holding so far on a weekly basis.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I think I would rely on Mike McCarthy and Tom Mullen more on whether they wouldn't count, but I just wanted to make sure you knew the ones that we had received. Almost all of them, I think all of them have come from DOER, and so I don't know if that's if that whole group of grants that we've received over the past, it's actually a little more than 5, I think it was 7 years, but in the past 7 years, totaling approximately 1.5 million, if those would be dropped. I wouldn't have a way to know that because I'm not involved in the side that you're involved in. So, but I would say tomorrow I can ask Mike McCarthy to chat with Tom Mullen and see if they think that fits under the group of grants that would be we would no longer be eligible for.
I think that's a great idea, Pete. I did receive an email from Tom Mullen. Maybe he could share that with your council and they could come up with their joint opinion.
Yeah, if they think it's at risk, then you could probably include it in there. I'm not familiar enough with the zoning stuff to know whether like what would no longer be eligible and what would, so.
I don't think that they're seen as being at risk like the specified type of grants that we get oftentimes from EOHLC. I suppose there's always an argument that, just about, everything relates in some fashion or another to a house. And an electric line goes into a house, but
yeah.
I don't see it as stretching that far personally, but I usually defer to town council, not my own legal opinion, but to Tom Mullen. And I don't think he sees it as a great risk from the gas and light side, but perhaps your council can reach out to him and, they can discuss it.
Yep, I'll definitely do that tomorrow. I was explaining to Sharon, we've talked about it a couple of times, that a lot of the DOER grants we get are meant to like kind of seed an action that they hope will continue on. For example, one of the grants was the solar rebate grant that we got, and it was a fixed amount of money to get munis to start giving rebates for solar installations, with the hope that munis would continue on after the initial funding, because the customers have become accepting of it. And that's what, in our case, that's what happened. We got about 150 grand as a matching grant that lasted about almost 2 years worth of money. And then when that ran out, we just kept going. We funded the other half. And that was the desired action that DOER was trying to get, And so similarly, we did a co-funding of streetlight replacement. So we bought the material and equipment and we installed the lights. We also reduced the town's rate for the streetlights. In exchange for that, but we held the rate constant for a number of years as part of that. So there was each one of these is kind of a seed grant to try to create some action, and a desired result. So, but again, I'm not really familiar enough to know whether that would be affected by the zoning change or the lack of a zoning change.
Pete, could you also talk about, that's historical, the grant that's we're applying for the energy park, because that's coming from the DORE as well?
There's a bunch of smaller sections of grants that we're applying for. So, and I think those are all in that summary that we provided. So, I mean, there's the potential for any of those. There's this universe of grants that's out there, and then we're applying for a portion of those, and how many we get. I would argue that it's probably a safe assumption to say going forward, we'd be in a similar, there's gonna be grants that we apply for that we don't get. There might be portions of grants we do get. And so, I wouldn't say it's a stretch to say that, over the next 5 to 7 years, there's another $1.5 million on the table that we would be eligible for, That certainly wouldn't be a stretch.
Right, and yeah, obviously, we're looking from the town perspective too, as to what we might be in line for in the future, too, to just try to convey the accurate information to the public before, during this process when we go to fall town meeting. But if Tom Moen's opinion is that the grants that the town is subject to losing are dissimilar from the ones that you folks have identified to us, then that may well apply to your future grants as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I would just, maybe have Mr. McCarthy talk to Mr. Moen and maybe he could advise back to you folks what the joint opinion is.
Yep, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, as I've said, I mean, for me going out to the public, I just try to be as transparent as possible. If it's 3.7, I want to tell them it's 3.7. If it's 3.7 plus another factor, I want to tell people that could be at risk, but prefer to try to be as correct as we can be. Given that, the Attorney General could get more aggressive in theory, but the delineated.
That's the other part that I was going to be afraid of, is that if enough towns are fighting back on this, does the state become more aggressive in trying to be punitive in terms of forcing towns to adopt it?
Yeah, and I think it's a risk, but it's more of an unspecified risk as opposed to the specifically delineated EOHLC, those types of grants that they're definitely taking away. I mean, they've definitely already taken grant money away from Milton, but it wasn't from a gas and light company in Milton. It was from the town. So I think this is all new, and there are some gray areas. But I think basically, your grants are a bit different than our grants.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. Just wanted to bring it to your attention.
So yeah, as an action tomorrow, I'll call Mike and have him get in touch with Tom Mullen and see if together they feel whether these would be at risk or not, or this family of this type of grant would be at risk.
That would be very much appreciated.
No problem.
And I'll just mention that in addition to the grants that we have traditionally gone after, there is some new funding that's flowing from the federal government in the form of state formula funds. And so it's the state that applies for these large grants from the federal government, and then they have they develop programs for the use of those funds. And so those are TBD. There's that solar for all, and then there's the grid resilience. I think it's 40101C, which is similar to the GRIP topic area 1, which the municipality could apply for directly from the federal government, or they could go through Mass CEC and apply for a grant. So some new funding. I don't know if it's going to last, if there's an administration change in Washington DC, but that's a new avenue of funding that may be at risk. So, and that's on the list. So if just based on, let's just be conservative and based on the grants that we have pursued over the last 5 to 7 years, Pete, how much would be at risk if we just.
Well, that's what the 1.5 million is what I shared this morning. That's the total we've received over the past, if you add in the stream, it was 7 years, it was almost exactly 1.5 million.
Okay.
So
I think you can.
And that's what I shared on that email this morning.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you were looking, Mike, for a 5-year look back. So this is a 7-year look back. The 1.5 million.
Okay, yeah, I think the more, and I understand political risk too and how it could affect, the 30% solar as well, under the IRA, but, I think the more specific question here is what specific grants do we think are at risk, in terms of, 40A Section 3A and the enumerated housing type of grants that are listed there. Could it be extended, for example, to anything that you folks are dealing with that deals with, solar on a roof of a house? I don't know. I mean, I think it's a stretch given what we have specifically before us so far, but it's just something to keep in mind.
Okay.
That's a spreadsheet shared with Mike.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. So Pete, you have the action item to
Yep.
speak with
Tom and Mike.
Tom and Mike. Is there anything else, Mike, that you need from us?
No. I really needed to follow up on that 1.5 million because it was brought up as if it was a fact. And I need to have more specific information, and that's why I contacted Tom Mullen on it and brought it up at my meeting Monday night. And, we got the list. That was the first I'd ever seen of the list of grants. It was sent, I think, to Samantha, like right before our meeting, to Samantha Elliott. So, I just need you guys to follow up with your counsel and Tom Mullen, and so that I can go out to the public and, if there's more to be lost, potentially, fine. If not, then we'll stick with the numbers that we have on the town side of the ledger. So I appreciate what your action item. That's going to take care of this, I think.
Well, thanks, Mike.
Okay, I will leave you guys to your business. Sorry to butt in.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. So the approval of the June 17th, 2024 minutes. So we'll table that for our next meeting,
September.
September 4th.
I think
Okay.
that's when the next meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
3, 4, yeah.
And then the next,
If I may, before we move on to project updates, can we just go through the dashboard and some of this other preliminary info.
Sure.
On the dashboard, I had two questions. On the bottom, on the left, where it says all-time peak. August of 2006, the all-time peak was over 50 megawatts. And we're not even close to that. Our peak in the current year was in June of only 41, so we're way off of our all-time peak. But what I don't understand is what's written to the left of it. On the 14th, I'm sorry, of January of 2014, we had 37 megawatts of peak. And I don't know what that's doing on this sheet.
That's the winter.
Winter,
That's the winter.
all-time peaks, winter and summer.
It's the winter. Yeah.
This one is.
Oh, okay, winter, okay.
So we talked about the peak.
That's summer, okay, right. And then last month, Pete mentioned that he added the cash on hand to the dashboard, and I'm not seeing it. Can you tell me where that is? Or-
So that wasn't really in addition to the monthly package. It was so we had talked about it, and it was more of an update as to where the cash is going, because it was.
I was
it
in
was
that
an item-
back section, yeah. It wasn't a dashboard, it was one of those additional pieces of information we included in the
Yeah.
back. We had that cash to.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the draft minutes from last month's meeting. It said that you put it on the dashboard. So is that not true? Was that not stated in the last meeting, or was it just a mistake that it was actually stated, which is why it's in the minutes, but it's not actually true and we're not doing it?
I think somebody asked I don't know who, I could go back and look, but I think
I
somebody asked. the
think Jen
question.
asked the question about whether these were all dashboards. And I
Yeah,
think what we said was that the stuff in the back was for information. It wasn't necessarily a dashboard. So I don't know if that
Okay, all right, so that's something.
no, it was additional information that we were providing for that meeting, for that discussion topic. Because there are a
Yeah.
few different things we had included in that package. And they looked like dashboards, and I think Jen had asked why, and so that was, I think we tried to clarify that those were informational that weren't.
Okay, so it might be just a mistake in the minutes. Where,
If the wording was confusing, I'll look at it.
yeah, because I don't think it was confusing. It just said that you added it to the minutes, to the dashboard. So we can just strike that or find out what it
I'll look at it, yeah.
really stated instead of that. Not that I'm too worried about the cash position, because I know we were almost at 3 last month, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we were able to recover from.
Yeah. Let me see if there was something else. I think those were the only two things I had on dashboard.
Yeah, you're talking about, I was just looking at that. You're talking about this one here. Let's chart with the cash on hand
No,
from June.
no, I'm not talking about that.
Which one were you talking about?
Talking about the draft minutes.
Oh,
minutes.
yeah, but you were, this was the dashboard that you were referring to,
Oh,
the cash on.
Talking about the dashboard. This is the dashboard.
Oh, okay.
And we were told that it was on here, and so that's,
okay.
I'm just wondering, what the minutes should say. That's all I'm wondering.
Okay. We don't have that particular graph is not in July.
I'm sorry.
That particular.
We
graph,
didn't
yeah.
include that.
Yeah,
graph.
that graph isn't in July's book. It was in
Correct.
June's book, but not July's book.
Okay, yeah, but that, yeah.
It's the word.
They had no there.
Okay.
Okay. I'm all set.
Okay,
Can I ask, are we done with the state grant summary and discussion? I'm lost to where we are in the agenda right now. I'm
I
sorry.
thought we were going back to one there.
Okay, at some point, can we get a walkthrough of this spreadsheet? It does not have to be tonight, but I'm just interested in getting the full piece, and I didn't follow the DOER conversation because I don't see DOER in here at all. So I was struggling.
Well, it was under state. The ones that where we said were state.
Okay, I feel like DEP, I see DOT, oh, that's federal. Yeah, I wasn't seeing DOER, so I got a little bit lost with that whole conversation. Fine, you guys seem to know what you're talking about, but at some point I would love just a summary of like what's here and so maybe once you resolve the major
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, that we can.
Maybe then if there's time. for
Next month,
meeting,
yeah,
we
we
Go
can-
through what
Each
the
grant.
resolution of that was and where we.
We'll have Joe go through each
Yeah,
one.
we can do Joe
Yes.
again with his fabulous summary
He loves it.
on the state side.
Oh, yeah, maybe I'll even rope Jalen in, although she might be back to school depending on when we do it.
Yeah, hopefully maybe we'll be getting closer to getting some more grants, because we've been swinging and missing quite a bit lately, so.
Well,
We
we
didn't
got a couple in the fall that we're gonna hear about.
Yeah, keep our fingers crossed.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jen. I think that's a good idea. Walk through on the grants. Okay. So now we're back to old business item 1, project updates, Energy
Yeah.
Park.
So, I don't know if anybody's had a chance to go by there. Construction's underway. The site's been cleared. Is the fence in?
Not yet. And
Fence is going-
within 2 weeks, the gate will be up.
The gate will be up. We've been doing construction on Hemlock Road. There's been a lot of construction going on Hemlock Road from multiple sources, but part of that construction is us. We've been doing the underground conduit basically from the existing high school over from Landrigan all the way down to the Energy Park, and then from the Energy Park to the gate of the tech school, so that the underground feeds from both sides will be, so that conduit work is going on now. When we go out in the fall, for a site contractor, part of what will be included in that is a manhole right at the edge of the Energy Park where those conduits will be brought together and feed in and out of the Energy Park. But that conduit work's going on right now. There's gonna be some water sewer work going on next for the town, and then right after that, we'll be doing our gas main down to the Energy Park for the generator. So that's all work we're all hoping to try to get done this summer so that it's out of the way for the fall, because if you've been up there at all, it's craziness. So,
Went by there last night
yeah.
before dark.
Avoid at all.
Yeah.
Is it,
It's like a war zone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
The entire, like from Farm Street all the way up to the parking lot of the Vogue, like the entire road is torn up.
yeah.
Conduits sticking out everywhere.
We need to have like school drop-offs that are away from that zone so that kids can feed in. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll have it a lot more cleaned up by September when kids go back to school. So,
Everyone's working the road.
yeah.
High school's
Yeah.
working on their portion,
Yeah,
doing
absolutely.
a culvert, we're doing our work. It's just that road.
Yeah, water and sewer is next, and then, like I said, we were gonna do gas right away, but we figured we'd let water and sewer go first, and then we're gonna run right next to them after that, so.
It's far less likely for someone else to hit.
That's right.
Our stuff.
Well, part of it is that there's so much ledge up there that when they blast through we'll be able to get next to them. We had to hammer a lot to get the electric conduit down on the right side. So, the gas and the sewer will be over more middle left a little bit, so. But, yeah, so that's the main work that's going on right now is getting those utilities down to the sites. But it's very active at this point, so.
Any roadblocks or anything that?
We had one issue with delivery of some of the switch gear. It got pushed out and we're working on alternatives right now. So the Vista switches, were pushed out another 3 months, which puts it outside of our schedule window. So we're gonna have to come up with Plan B on that. We might use some, single pad mounted switches to cover the required stuff before we actually,
Swap them out.
yeah, swap them out. So we're working on, if we can bring it in sooner, we'll be okay, but right now. Last week, Dave got the update that the January delivery date of next year, of 26 was now moved out to like May, so that pushes it out of the window.
And that's an issue.
Yeah.
In the schedule.
Yeah.
There's no other equipment that is an issue right now, and that's And that is simple equipment that has a exceptional long lead time that was pushed out, so that has an impact. But we, like Pete said, we have a workaround that we'll probably put in place, but yeah.
Is there, I'm assuming no, but does the company, since they're pushing, manufacturers pushing that out, is there any, financial recourse that they owe us as part of the contract, or they're just like, yep, this is when we're gonna deliver it, and thanks for your business?
And it's not that type of equipment either. I mean, it's not expensive equipment.
Okay.
Switch gear or the generators, there might be some language in there, but this is kind of bread and butter equipment.
Yeah,
It just has really long lead time and that they've pushed out further.
Commodity
But
stuff.
there's no language in there to recoup any cost for any of the delays they have.
I figured as much, but
Yeah.
I had to ask a question.
Yeah, I mean, the generator and the battery have performance.
Right.
Yeah.
They're multi-million
Attached to it, yeah.
pieces of equipment. The other one is, $70,000 or something like that, so. So that's a lot of money, but
Yeah.
Are there many suppliers, different suppliers, or they're just like two
only
vendors?
that piece of equipment, we'd like to keep our equipment standardized too,
Mhm.
so it's the same piece of equipment we use in other locations.
Mhm,
There's only one that supplies it.
Mhm.
It's a specific manufacturer.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, believe it or not, they told me that they have tried to fix the date so they can bring it in sooner. And I said, that's awesome. The sooner to them is back to the original date in January, not sooner than that. So the best we could do if they make modifications in the production schedule is bring it into January, which is still close,
Mhm.
but that works within the schedule. May throws us off. We have a temporary solution to that too, so.
Okay.
So those are some of the challenges. I don't know if you have any other questions about the ongoing project work. There's a lot going on, and we had that cable failure jump into that added to the mix. We have been working on the list that Vinny produces on overloaded transformers, and so we've been chipping away at that. We have about 10 left to go in terms of replacing or splitting cribs or whatever. So we've only had one overloaded transformer fail so far this season. But other than that, we've been trying to be pretty proactive on that. So we've been in pretty good shape. So again, Vinny's looked at the whole list of stuff that has loading at a certain level, and he's written up jobs for each one that either involves upgrading a transformer, splitting a crib, or the combination of the two.
Have we, with kind of on that, do we think we've hit our peak for the year, or do we think that that's still
So
coming our way?
yesterday was the central capacity peak for the year. So we'll see how we do, but I mean, this is a tail end of a long heat wave.
Yeah.
Unless we get another stretch like this, I think this could have been the peak yesterday, so.
Today's pretty hot.
Today,
It's-
Yeah.
And we haven't finished today.
Yeah, we haven't finished
Today, but yesterday they said that, it was the,
That's probably right about.
right, exactly. So I could have new information, but yesterday,
38, I'll get an email probably within the next half hour that
yes, exactly.
is passed and we're.
The latest email that yesterday was so far yesterday.
I think it's very,
To be updated.
very wishful thinking
Yeah.
to say that in the next 6 or 8 weeks, we're not gonna
Middle of
have
summer.
a heat wave.
7:32, the peak is.
2024 people.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we will. It's just that this has been all about 90 in for such a long time.
Long stretch.
That's it. So if we hit the same thing, a couple days here and there, probably won't make that much.
There you go. You want real-time
There you
information?
go.
7 minutes ago, tonight's peak is passed, load came in below ISO forecast for the day, and our peak remains yesterday.
Okay,
Okay.
so what did I say earlier?
Huh?
What did I say?
Dead on, dead on. Can't get more timely information than that, so.
Now we just have to place bets on August.
Mhm.
Kind of challenged though with the weather for sure.
They said it was due to the thunderstorms that had already started to move across earlier in the afternoon than yesterday.
I think it's arriving here.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, I see the wind, but yeah, what's interesting though is looking at the financials, even though the demand is rising and revenues are rising, costs aren't rising nearly as much as the revenues, so financially, we're not in a bad position because of this.
Good.
Doing a good job with hedging.
Do we have, oh, we got that.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other updates or any other questions?
No.
Not, we can move to the community solar project and dedication update. Do you have any updates?
No, Ken's been hard to reach. I've called a couple times and he's not been picking up his phone. So I have to go over there and try to find him to talk to him in person and see how he's doing. I did see him, I don't know, 10 days ago or something like that. And so he's getting around a lot better than he was, but they're not in a position. I haven't spoken to his daughter in a little while, so I don't think they're in any position yet to kind of figure out.
Commit to any kind of date or anything.
Yeah,
That's fine.
so yeah, it's still touch and go.
Yeah, and so we're fully subscribed now. And so, and Joe, do you have anything on the performance last month? I know I forgot to ask you.
Yeah, I do. In total, the community solar array produced 18,525 kilowatt hours. So what that means per kilowatt is 148 kilowatt hours, which equates to $18 for the customer credit, for the credit, where they're paying the $11 fee. So pretty solid. The prior month was 133 kilowatt hours per kilowatt subscribed, and that was $16.80. So far so good. I mean, it is the good months, and I bet if it continues with this heat wave, we should see even another increase, I would think, in this month, but I guess we still have half the month to go, so.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the heat wave continue.
Yeah, we're not rooting out, we're not rooting just for that, so.
No, not the heat wave, not the heat, just the sun, you just need
Just the sun,
the
sunniness.
cloud. Actually,
Tomorrow's supposed to be a little drier and a little.
When it's gonna be and sunny, it still produces.
Yeah.
No, actually, it likes it
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Doesn't do better at 90.
Oh, today, it likes it better because today was some of these days are hazy, so it actually degrades it a little bit.
Well, and also the panels overheat, so
Yeah.
they start, when they get too hot, their output drops.
Yeah,
So they actually like the super sunny 60-day
yeah,
better.
me too.
Yeah.
We all do.
Okay,
Strategic planning, I'm just keeping that in there, unless there's anything that people want to add. And so the September meeting, we will have a timeline attached to the goals and initiatives. So, but I'm keeping it on the board book page, unless there's anything else somebody wants to add.
And that we're gonna cover in September, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
okay. Anything else on the strategic planning? If not, we can move to new business. And have an update on the town's energy reduction plan and the audits, the detailed audits.
Yeah, so the detail audit took place on the 24th. Joe, do we get an update? So there was a bunch of data that they needed from us in terms of usage data, but they also needed some stuff from the town. I saw Tim O'Brien had just communicated with them the other day. He needed all kinds of building drawings and footprint drawings from the town side. Based on that, Joe, do we get an update on what they think the report will be ready?
Not an exact date, but when we went out and actually did the audits, Olivia and I were there. They had mentioned that the turnaround time should be quick after they have all the data that they have. So we'll see what they come back with. I reached out specifically and asked, like, oh, once you have these couple pieces of data, how quick how quick turnaround can you do it? So I'm waiting on a response from Laura on that. But they gave me the impression that it should be quick. They just wanted those pieces of information to really hone in their analysis a little bit better. So
Tim O'Brien from the town had said he'd been out on vacation for a couple of weeks, but he acknowledged the request. So the audits were done on the 24th, and then he was out for a couple of weeks, and when he got back, he acknowledged it, so he said he's gonna work directly to get them the stuff, so.
Okay. I think the reason we wanted to, have the audits done sooner than later is because I think there are some grants that we are eligible, yeah, for the.
Is there a date on those, Jen?
Yes. I want to say November, but I need to check
Okay.
to be sure. Yeah, I think it is coming.
I think I did put something in here about block
I think it might be
grants in October.
October 18th.
Yes.
Okay, yep.
So hopefully they can turn around quickly, and then, so the group that's gonna have to decide is really the group that's dealing more with green communities. We'll provide the data, so we'll get it should we get it to you guys as soon as we have it, so that, and I mean, we're happy to participate in a meeting, but we're not definitely the ones that are driving that, so we're happy to provide the backup, so.
Yeah, I think, well, at the last meeting, we said we might regroup, right, once the audit information was available. I
Right.
don't know if it would be that huge group, but like some
Yeah.
set of those
Yeah.
people would
Yeah.
get together and
As
discuss.
soon as we have an exact date, then we'll get the word out that when we expect it, and then we can schedule that meeting.
Okay. That sounds good. Yes, just want to make sure there's enough time to put in an application. That is, I think that's all we have for business, old and new. Are there any other matters would like to raise?
I think so.
Yeah, none for me.
So the next meeting is September 4th.
Check.
Okay.
And there's nothing in between.
Oh, yes.
Is anybody going? I heard from two people that they weren't able to go, but is anybody going?
I would like to go. It kind of coincides with my mother-in-law's birthday, so I just have to check.
Could have been.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
This meeting, remember, this meeting is being recorded.
You can just say, I'm still checking my schedule.
Yeah.
I can't go this year, that's when we're actually gonna be in here.
I would like to go, though.
Okay, just let me know and we'll,
You know,
I'm
Still thinking about it.
unfortunately can't go. I've gone since I've been on the board, so I'm kind of sad that I'm missing this, but I've got work commitments that I can't move. So if someone could go, but I've always found them helpful and educational. And especially it's a bigger swath of folks from, outside of just MWEC. It's a bigger territory, lots of diverse conversation.
And a fantastic location.
oh, right,
Mount Washington.
Fantastic location.
Mount Washington?
Mount
Oh,
Washington is
yeah.
amazing. That's the one I went to.
Yeah,
Years ago.
but there was a time I went quite a number of years ago, and I didn't reserve my room soon enough. So I was in a hotel down the road, and it wasn't so.
Wasn't as good, yeah.
So you want to make your decision.
That one, I think, was that the one that it poured buckets, the 2 out of the 3 days?
Oh, maybe, I don't remember.
I remember
I
playing,
remember there was a day when, yeah, there was time when.
I was playing golf with Ken in the golf thing, and
Oh, really?
we stopped after like 8 holes because it was just pelting rain.
Yeah. So, yeah, so that's it. That's a
Okay.
consideration.
All right, I'll get on it.
Yeah, I have to too. I have to look at the agenda and decide if I want to get it.
Okay. All right, I guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second that.
All in favor?
Bye.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Everyone, to everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good night.